This is disgusting and shameful for me to admit, especially as a man. But I have to tell my side of the story. But before I do, let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about it. Which of these is harder to forgive? Betrayal by someone you trusted, being violated in a way you can never explain, or watching the person who ruined you live like nothing ever happened? Pick one. So here's what happened. Diddy had his his genitals pressed against my teeth, and in my mouth, his grip buried in my skull, like he was trying to peel me open from the mouth down. I couldn't scream. He tasted thick, bitter, and kept coming with nowhere else to go. When I felt the heat hit my cheek and the camera clicked, something in me gave out. Not only was he assaulting me publicly, he was also filming to hold me as a blackmail. I stumbled out soaked and shaking, barely holding myself together while CJ stood by the car, eyes on his phone. That's when I knew he didn't just bring me there. He intentionally handed me over to the devil. And the worst part is, he's still out here smiling, shaking hands, playing innocent, while I'm stuck, choking on something I never asked for, and being called a liar. So let me ask you, what would you do if the person who you trusted betrayed you and still ruined your life completely? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you're watching, help me get the justice that I need by sharing and subscribing to this channel. I used to think the silence between me and Diddy was a win. Months had passed without incident. No calls, no threats, no more passive, aggressive messages from anyone at Revolt. I stayed quiet, moved low. I figured whatever tension there was, it burned out on its own. That's how this industry works, right? People forget, move on, find new problems. I didn't think I was still on his radar. Then CJ hit me up. It wasn't cold. He sounded soft, like someone who'd seen both sides and wanted to smooth things over. Said Diddy wasn't angry anymore, that he wanted to talk, make peace, clear the air. He even made a joke about how we were all too grown to still be holding on to pettiness. I wanted to believe him. I really did. I'd known CJ for a while. Never close, but enough to think he had a conscience. Enough to think if something felt off, he'd say so. A day later, Willie Mack called too. Same energy, cool, calm, business-minded. Said he'd heard I was having a rough patch, and they were putting something together at Revolt. Thought I might want to be involved. Real opportunity, he said. Your name came up for a reason. They told me they'd send a car. Said I didn't need to bring anything, just show up, be open. Diddy wanted a clean slate. At the time, that didn't sound threatening. It sounded overdue. I was tired of trying to stay 2 steps ahead of people who had jets and lawyers and media teams. Tired of waking up with my jaw clenched, wondering if today would be the day someone tried to smear me for speaking up about nothing at all. Maybe a reset would have helped. Maybe there was a world where this ended in an apology. But there was something else I didn't want to admit. Not then. A small part of me was still chasing validation. After everything, I still thought, if Diddy was the one offering a sit down, that had to mean I mattered. That I wasn't just another body on the side of the road he'd forgotten to clean up. Turns out, I wasn't forgotten. I was being saved for something. And they'd waited until I was tired enough to walk straight into it. CJ was never the loud one. He didn't posture or talk too much. That was part of why I trusted him. He didn't sell himself. He just watched, moved quiet, didn't need the room to bend for him. And when I was on the edge, with the bad boy circle, when everything felt tense and messy, CJ never added to it. He didn't defend me, but he never laughed with the ones who tried to bury me either. He stayed in that middle space. The one where you assume someone isn't your enemy just because they didn't clap when you were bleeding. So when he reached out, I didn't feel fear. If anything, I felt relief. Maybe it was a peace offering. Maybe he'd convinced Diddy to finally let it go. The way he spoke, soft, even warm, made it sound like there was still a place for respect somewhere in all of this. It didn't feel like bait. It felt overdue. The building was just another studio space. Clean floors, matte paint, framed photos in the hall. Nothing about it said danger. That's what stuck with me later, how normal it all looked. A woman with a clipboard told me where to go. No one searched me. No one checked my name. It was like they were expecting me. Like everything had already been decided before I got in the car. The hallway stretched longer than it should have, not because it was wide or strange, but because my body started to feel tight halfway through it. I brushed it off as nerves. Thought maybe I was still carrying old tension. Thought maybe this was the part where I'd sit across from Diddy and pretend none of it ever happened. I could do that if it meant safety. She opened a door near the end and told me to go in. I stepped past her without thinking. Inside, the room was dim, not shadowed, just dull. A studio set up with nothing recording, no music, no chairs. Diddy stood in the center. He wasn't pacing. He wasn't on the phone. Just standing there, staring like he'd been waiting longer than I knew. I paused, waiting for him to speak. Maybe offer a seat. Maybe act like this was business. He didn't. He stepped forward, and two other men stepped in behind me. I didn't know their names, but I'd seen them around, events, parties, walking behind him like furniture. I turned slightly, not fast, just enough to show I was uneasy. One of them shut the door. Diddy said one thing. "You thought you could disrespect me and walk away." I didn't answer. I didn't know what part of the past he was pulling from, and I didn't think it mattered. His voice didn't carry anger. It carried something colder. He moved closer. I heard the buckle come undone. The first hand clamped down on my left wrist. The second caught my shoulder and pushed. I stumbled, not because they were rough, but because they knew where to hold. Not in pain, in control. That's when I felt it. That drop in my chest. That sick, quiet signal that this wasn't going to stop at intimidation. I tried to talk, to lift my chin, to step back. He grabbed the back of my head before I could finish the thought. When he pulled me down, I stopped thinking. There was a point where I just wanted the ground to open and take me. Not to escape the room, just to disappear from it. I don't think people understand what it does to you when someone powerful hurts you on purpose, then walks away clean like you were never even there. I've been told I need to let it go, maybe even forgive. But how do you forgive someone like that? If you're watching and have ever been through something you couldn't talk about, if you ever found a way to move past it or make peace with the person who broke you, please help me by commenting how you did it, because I need peace in my life and it's like I can't get it. I don't remember walking out. I remember the door opening and then I was outside. My legs were moving, but they weren't steady. My shirt stuck to my skin in places that made me sick. My mouth felt coated in something I couldn't swallow or spit out, and everything around me was too bright. Not warm, just exposed. CJ was already by the car. He didn't look surprised, didn't say a word, just standing there, eyes on his phone, one foot leaned against the bumper, like he'd been waiting for a delivery that finally showed up. He didn't even glance at me when I walked up. Just opened the door like I was still supposed to get in. I sat down because I didn't know what else to do. My hands were trembling in my lap, and I could still feel the print of Diddy's grip behind my ears. CJ got in on the other side, cool, calm. Scrolling like this was any other ride back from any other meeting. I kept staring ahead, chest tight, trying not to gag when the wind shifted and brought whatever was still clinging to me back up into my nose. There was no conversation, no check-in. He didn't ask if I was okay. He didn't even ask if I needed water. I don't know if that made it better or worse. I just sat there, broken open in the back seat, while he rode next to me like nothing happened. And that was the moment the betrayal stopped being theoretical. He knew. Not just that it might happen. He knew what I was walking into. He knew who would be in that room. He knew I wouldn't walk out clean. He didn't hand me over by accident. He handed me over gently. Silently. Like I was a favor to Diddy. That broke me, really broke me. I told myself I could move on if I just didn't speak about it. If I cleaned myself up, stayed quiet, buried it under the 1,000 other things this industry makes you swallow. But silence doesn't keep things buried. It rots them slow. And every time I closed my eyes, it wasn't just the room or his voice I saw. It was CJ's stillness. That blank look. The way he opened the car door like it was over. That silence stuck harder than the act itself. A few days later, I got a call from someone I used to work with. They asked if I was okay. I said I was. They didn't believe me. They'd heard something. Not the full thing, just whispers, something about a situation, a reset, a boundary crossed. That was the word someone used, boundary, as if this was a misunderstanding, as if I wandered into it and misread the tone. But then I started seeing the other names, not just headlines. Lawsuits, stories, patterns. Other people, real people, saying the same kinds of things, promises, meetings, invitations that ended with pain. Young men, women, even kids. Diddy wasn't just impulsive, he was practiced. There was a structure to it, a rhythm. And some of the faces I saw in my own memory started showing up again in the background of other people's stories. Handlers, drivers, coordinators. Names I'd been told were just part of the team. Names like Willie Mack. Names that were never mentioned out loud unless something needed to be moved or hidden. And CJ. I didn't want to believe he was part of that rhythm. I tried to hold on to the version of him that nodded from across rooms and didn't say much. But it's not just the hands that pin you down. It's the ones that open the door and walk you in without saying a word. It's the ones who watch you get destroyed and say, nothing. That's the rhythm, too. And when I finally accepted that, it stopped feeling personal. It wasn't about me. It was protocol. You don't get many chances to say things like this out loud. Not when the people who did it walk around untouchable. That's why platforms like this matter. They give people like me, like others, a space to finally speak without being shut down or erased. So if you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, like the video, share it, and make sure you're subscribed. It's the only way we keep the door open for the next person who needs to come through. I didn't go to the hospital. I didn't file a report. I didn't scream or post or call anyone that night. I went home, stripped my clothes off in the hallway, and stood under the shower until the water turned cold. I brushed my teeth until my gums bled, washed my face 3 times, and I still couldn't get the feeling out. Not the taste, not the smell, not the grip behind my ears. They say time softens things. It doesn't. It just stretches them out so they can hurt slower. I started noticing how different my body moved. Not weaker, just less mine. Like I'd been hollowed out and was now pretending to wear something I wasn't fully inside of anymore. I stopped going out, started jumping at harmless sounds. I couldn't sleep through the night for months. And when I did, I'd wake up biting the inside of my mouth or curled into myself like I was still on that floor. I didn't tell anyone. Not really. And the few I tried to hint to, they looked at me like I was crazy. Or worse, like I was dangerous for even saying his name. Diddy still had ads running, still had people defending him, still had rooms that would never open for someone like me again. And CJ, I saw him in a magazine not long after, smiling, wearing some expensive coat, listed as one of the most promising next gen creatives in the culture. The caption said he was carrying legacy with grace. I almost threw up, because what I carry doesn't come with praise. It doesn't fit in interviews or brand deals. It sticks to my bones when I try to rest, when I try to eat, when I try to let someone touch me without feeling disgusting all over again. I survived it. But survival's not peace. It's just a long, drawn-out silence where your name starts to fade, but your damage stays loud. I know how this sounds. I know what people will say. That I'm looking for attention. That I should have said something sooner. That I should have fought harder. But they don't understand what shame really does. How it follows you into every room. How it clings to your skin long after the bruises fade. There are people watching this right now who know exactly what I mean. People who went through something they still can't name, who kept it quiet because they were scared of what it would do to their reputation, their job, their family. People who walk around every day pretending their body is still theirs when they haven't felt clean in years. And I get it. I stayed silent too, for too long. But I'm speaking now, not because I'm healed, not because I'm brave. I'm speaking because I've seen what silence protects. I've seen who gets to stay rich, stay loved, stay holy in the public eye, while the people they hurt rot quietly in the dark. So if this helps anyone open their mouth, even a little, then it was worth it. And if you're one of the people who still thinks shame should keep us quiet, you're part of the reason we have to talk louder. If this hit something in you, if you've been holding a story in your chest that no one's ever heard, leave a comment. Someone out there might need to see they're not the only one. And if you believe more people deserve a place to speak without being silenced, then like the video, share it, and subscribe. Because the more of us who speak, the harder it gets for them to keep burying the rest.